Hello, everyone. This is John Jenkins, and I would like to give you a video in which I talk about Busco Quadnary. And this is the perfect time for me to get into the subject because so much stuff is happening. So, anyway, here is a video on how Busco Quadnary works. So, thank you very much for watching. Okay. Okay, so first things first. Okay, so Busco Quadnary was introduced into the world in 2016. I believe it was around January 2016. It was my first Kickstarter, and it garnered over, I don't know, maybe around at least around 400,000 views total for my first three Kickstarters, and basically there were so it garnered all these views, whatever. Um, so the title, the subtitle is what is wrong with Busco Quadnary, and I got a lot of flack. I got a lot of flack about some things that were wrong with Busco Quadnary, and so here were the three main issues, three main objections. Okay, objection number one: dimensions only exist in science fiction, and you see I have the exclamation point in parentheses. Uh, uh, and I got a lot of flack for that one. So they still can't figure it out. And objection number two: I specifically can never learn to program a computer. I wonder where that comes from. And objection number three, which is probably the second most common objection, was that programming is fixed. You can't program an old computer to do something new. And I got a lot of that over the years. It's been 7 years. Let's see. Yeah, it's been 7 years since Busco Quadnary was released, my first Kickstarter, and I've gotten a lot of this one. Programming is fixed. You can't program an old computer to do something new. And so those are, I'm probably not gonna address this one. So let's get to the first two. So, and here it is, Busco Quadnary. Okay, so first things first. Okay, so what is the definition of binary encoding? A lot of people don't know what this is. So binary encoding is basically a procedure that was developed in the 1960s. So here, let me read this. This is from coderstool.com. Binary encoding is a procedure to convert data to a form that is easily used by different computer operating systems. I'm going to stop right there. So it gives more information. You can read it. It's at coderstool.com. You can Google it, but I'm going to stop right there. So basically, converting data to a form that is easily used by different computer operating systems. Obviously, it's misspelled there. It says difference, yeah. So it's basically making code that is more readable by computers. Depending on what base the computer's code is in. Is it in hexadecimal? Is it in base 2, base 5, whatever? So that's the definition of binary encoding, which is basically exactly what Busco Quadnary is. It's just binary encoding. So here is the definition of a dimension. So here is the definition of a dimension. So dimension is number one, a measurable extent of some kind, such as length, breadth, depth, or height. Okay, so number two, an aspect or feature of a situation, problem, or thing. So very different definitions, but yeah, very different definitions, but they can in some ways overlap. So you know, length versus depth is definitely a different feature or thing within an object. You know, they're similar. Length and depth are similar. They can sometimes be interchanged, but especially if it's a cube. But uh, or yeah, especially if it's a cube, sort of equilateral object. But yeah, so uh, very different but very similar at the same time. So that takes care of the first objection, which is that dimensions only exist in science fiction. So I never thought I'd have to say this over the internet. I never thought I'd have to say this over the internet, but this is the real world we're living in. This is not a Star Trek episode. This is not a Star Wars episode. This is not The Fifth Element. This is not Stargate SG-1. This is the real world we live in, and we live in a real world. So it's not science fiction. So uh, uh, here is the definition of a dimension. So if you have an object that has length, breadth, depth, or height, then that object has four dimensions. If you have uh, uh, a table with with one dimension on the vertical side and four dimensions on the horizontal side, you multiply 1 times 4, and suddenly you have four dimensions. That's how it works. So again, this is the real world. This is not science fiction. So here is the second objection. So, which is that I specifically can never learn how to program a computer. So here I'm going to open this up, and obviously I program in I program in Notepad. I make my programs in Notepad because I'm special. Okay, so I'm gonna say print uh, uh, hello world, simple hello world application, and gets equals input. Please press enter. Okay. So basically, I'm gonna put this program, and it's gonna print hello world, and then it's gonna say please press enter. I need to add that part so that it doesn't simply exit when I'm trying to see the text. So let's hope this works. Okay, so there we go. Hello world, and please press enter. Hello world, and please press enter. So obviously you press enter, and then it exits because there's no more code. So that's the second question. So here is Busco Quadnary. Here is Busco Quadnary. Why don't I go to here, and where did I put it? Busquad. Okay. So here's Busco Quadnary. So I'm going to use Busco Quadnary to solve this problem. It's an adding program. Adding program adds two numbers. So here. So I'm gonna add using Busco Quadnary. So I put the number 3, which is the fourth dimension. If you have a zero index programming language, then number 3 will be the fourth dimension. So again, this is not science fiction. This is not Star Wars. I'm not flying through space and going to alternate Earths and all this other stuff. to get to this dimension. All I had to do was type in 3, right? And then add 1 0, and then 1 2 3, and then 001. So I hit enter, and it says type in the first number, so it loaded up the adding program. So it's going to be adding in base 10. It's going to be adding in base 10. I don't have a base 4 calculator as yet. I have not coded a base 4 calculator as of yet. So here I'm going to add 35 and second number 50. All right, please press enter. Okay, so your final number is 85. So using Busco Quadnary, I loaded up the adding program within Busco Quadnary, which was in the 4th dimension, started with a 3. Okay, so I loaded up the adding program in Busco Quadnary. And I added 2 numbers, which was 35 and 50, which turns out to be 85. And that's it. That's Busco Quadnary. So so basically I was thinking that, you know, if we build the computer up beginning with at least 3 dimensions, if we build the computer up beginning with at least 3 dimensions, then we don't have to spend as much time in the end of at the other end of the spectrum, which is to add in 3 dimensions at the end. We won't have to wait until the end to add those other 2 dimensions. So that was the whole idea of Busco Quadnary. Again, this is the perfect time to make this video, and I'm so glad that I made it. So thank you very much, and goodbye.